skating in the white for Manchester Royal Derby Checkerbroads, we've got 0101 Turbo Tyke. Number 13 is Minx. 1303 is Witchy. 154 is the Incredible Ish. 1963 is Nippy Hedron. 23 is Decoy. Number 3 is Price. And 414 is Rusty Bullets. 42 Selena Vile. 481 Roxy Toxin. Captain number 58 is Feral Fairy. 619 is Holly. And 8880 is Gemolition. We are straight into the first jam. We have Swansea City with lead jammer number 7 Mort completing their first scoring pass. We've got number 23 Decoy jamming for the Checkerbroads, facing some tough opposition in the pack. Looks like B's come up, but I don't know what's going on. So Decoy has been taken off and is being recycled. It is a power jam situation right now with, I do apologise, Decoy is in the penalty box and number 7 Mort is your sole jammer on track. 10 points already on the board for this jam. Mort straight through that wall like a hot knife through butter, only slightly more forcefully. Mort up to a 15-0 jam. Big contact there to captain number 58, Feral Fairy. Decoy back on track, star in hand. I wonder if they're going to look to do a star pass. They've dropped the cover. Mort taking a big hit and sliding through the pack. Incredibly physical jam to get us started. Just 28 seconds left of this jam, and Mort is continuing to lay on the 5-point passes. We have had a star pass. Feral Fairy now with star in hand. Swansea running in with the offence. Mort skipping over the apex for another 4-point pass before calling the jam. Massive start to the game for Swansea. 28 points up. Damn.
Well, students, that was an absolutely monster jam there for the Swansea Slayers. 28 points, as you say. And Checkerbroads really, with jams like that, they're not going to have a lot of time to get their defence into the right kind of state it needs to be in to defend against the Slayers. They've got to make that decision pretty quick, otherwise this game is going to run away from them.
Absolutely, they're going to want to look to pull themselves back together for this and try and make a bit of a dent in that. I do believe that's Roxy Toxin looking to make that dent. Big hit takes them down though, and we have number 37 Victory picking up lead jammer, second jam in a row for Swansea.
Well, great work by Minx there at the front of the pack, just slowing down Victory. Obviously not able to hold them for long, but Bullet doing a great job of just being hot on their wheels, not giving any kind of quarter here, keeping that pressure on the Slayers. Let's see what Victory does. Pulling it up.
Yeah, absolutely smart move from Victory. When you've got the opposition jammer that close to you, there is no point. Although they have started with a big lead, there's no point in running the clock this early in the game.
No, keep hold of your lead and skate for your life. Okay, lining up for the Checkerbroads, it is number 481, Roxy Toxin, coming up against 14, Coup de Gras for the Slayers.
We do have a pack advantage to start the jam to the Checkerbroads, 1 Slayer in the penalty box. Roxy nearly through on the inside, just taken off on coming up to turn 1. Looks like we already have a star stash from Coup de Gras. So although lead jammer is now closed anyway, that would have been an ineligibility there.
Easy for you to say this time in the morning. Well, 1963, Nippy Hedron there doing some great work on Coup de Gras, but not enough. Roxy Toxins through. Checking with those points. None for the Slayers in that pass. And it looks like, oh, we're just going to check that right now. No, none for the checkerboards either. Our officials just taking a quick moment here, make sure everything's in order. There we go, points on the board for the checkerboards, 4 points in total, dropped off for them. 24 minutes left of this first half, and it is 2-5-4-4. McLean wearing the star for Swansea, coming up against Turbo Tight 0-1-0-1 for MRD's checkerboards.
I've just got to say, while we're in this official timeout here, over on track 1, we've got Memberhaven Derby taking on the Dorset Knobs. We've got a minute left of the first half over there. Incredibly close game. Memberhaven Derby on 114. Dorset Knobs have just taken the lead with 118. Some phenomenal derby going on today. Can't believe it.
It's been a fiery game over there, I can tell you that. But we are off here now with this Jam 4 of Slayers versus Checkerboards.
Some very strong 2-wall defence up the front, being joined by a third. However, Checkerboard's jammer has been issued lead, been reabsorbed into the pack though.
Yep, Slayers just keeping their cool there as Turbo Tight really fighting for that pass. As you say, was reabsorbed, manages to break through and sees daylight, and now all of the attention from the Slayers has to be on swinging their jammer McLean through.
Looks like McLean went for the star pass immediately as soon as lead jammer was closed. The helmet cover was off and they were reaching for their pivot. Manchester doing a really good job of playing keep away.
Yes, 4 points picked up by the checkerboards once again, so 8 plays 28.
Just over 24 minutes of the first half. Checkerboards looking to kind of nickel and dime their way back into this game, chipping away at that lead.
I love nickel and dime because there is literally no English or European translation from it.
Penny and penny. There's nothing.
Penny and a pound. Okay, number 23, Decoy for the checkerboards comes up against Mort for the Slayers.
Depleted pack on track, 2 Slayer blockers in the box and 1 checkerboard in the box as well. That pack advantage works in the favour of the checkerboards. Decoy picking up lead, however Mort is also out, sights are set and they are chasing down.
Fantastic work there by Decoy, just scooching around the hips of number 90, which is of course Top Gun for the Slayers, to grab those 4 points and call up the jam. So the checkerboards playing a hit and quit game, just nice and quick, 4 points, calling it off. 12 plays 28, already chipping away at that differential, Snoogans, and you know, they keep playing like this, they're going to soon surpass it.
Absolutely, and of course we have got 28 points on the board for Slayers, but that was everything they picked up in the first jam. Yep. We're now heading into jam 6 and they've scored nothing since.
Yep. So we have Bexon with the start of the Slayers, Rusty Bullet for the checkerboards.
Rusty Bullet going in physical straight off the line, managing to basically clear that whole 3-wall at the front that the Slayers had, picks up lead jammer. Bexon is out of the pack, but nearly a full lap behind.
The Slayers just really struggling here to put up any kind of defence against the MRD blockers. And that's evident in the points. 4 more once again for those checkerboards, holding the Slayers at 0 once again. So whatever the checkerboards are doing, Slayers need to figure it out pretty quickly. 16 plays 28. We've got 22 minutes left of this first half. Right back into the action. Coupe de Gras once again with the start for the Slayers. Comes up against Roxy Toxie.
Roxy taking a big hit on the outside line. Recycled back past the jammer line. Quick recovery though.
The jammer yet to be confirmed though as Roxy Toxin pushes between turns 1 and 2. Gets knocked out by Snail. Recycled back into the straightaway. Both jammers here, just playing a game of inches, Snoogans, trying to push past, but it is Coupe de Gras who manages to pull up that lead jammer.
Biasuti going as further than they are actually allowed to try and hold back that jammer, picking up that blocking out of play penalty. Going to go and take a seat in the box, giving the pack advantage to Checkerbroads now. Both jammers are out. Coup de grace weaving back and forth across the track, looking to try and get something. 3 points.
Yeah, points on the board. Finally for them, takes their score to 31. Checkerbroads at 16. We've got 20 minutes left of this first half.
So we're taking a brief moment as Gaz runs back to the bench. We've got 0-1-0-1 Tyke jamming for MRD Checkerbroads against number 7 Mort for Swansea City Slayers. Starting with one Slayer blocker in the box, one Checkerbroad heading in now as well, and Mort is through, getting incredibly low along that inside line to evade the hits of the blockers to pick up lead jammer. Meanwhile, Turbo Tyke still stuck behind that 2-wall at the front of Jekyll and number 90 Top Gun. Mort has already picked up a full 5-point pass. Beautiful work by Mort. Another 5 on the board. Tyke has completed a star pass. Number 13, Minx, now your active jammer for Checkerbroads. Minx going for the chase. Mort picks up 4 points, calls off the jam, and Minx didn't quite make it into the pack in time.
Well, that was a great jam there by the Slayers. 14 points, as you say, picking it up. So we saw that little bit of a lull where the Checkerbroads were able to just shut them down, using that defensive action to keep them at 0 points for quite a few jams. And now the Slayers have figured that out, and they're working to increase that differential once again. 45 to 16 Snoogans. I mean, it's not insurmountable, and we've certainly seen comebacks from scores bigger than that this weekend, throughout this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see now if the Checkerbroads can now change up their dynamic to play against this new Slayer strategy.
Absolutely, and it's something we've seen, as you say, across the weekend and across the whole Brit Champ season. You see teams evolving, you see them studying footage, attending game days where they're not playing to take notes and to try and adapt their style to what their opposition is presenting. It's something that I absolutely love about the British Championships, that it gives teams the opportunity to kind of evolve in that way.
But as you say, it is a power jam start now, and victory with the star for the Slayers.
Two Slayers blockers up front going in, swarming the pack, breaking it up to give victory the space they need to complete that initial pass and pick up lead jammer to try and capitalise on this power start.
So the Slayers playing a little bit of that slow derby there. So Turbo Tyke is back on track and in play now. Works out well for them. They're able to pick them up and catch them in that web of blocking. The victory knocked outside, and we cycle back and we see the star pass to Feral Fairy from Turbo Tyke.
That was an incredibly smooth star pass. I was watching the track and I did not see it happen.
Well, the Slayers in control in that jam though, as they did have lead. 4 points picked up, and they're able to call off the jam before Feral Fairy can become a points threat. 49 plays 16, 18 minutes just under in this first half here. Day 2 of the British Champs, Tier 2, Tier 3, Men's and Women's 2017. We have McLean with the star for Swansea, and that is 414 Rusty Bullet for the Checkerbroads.
Pack advantage to Swansea, one Broads blocker in the box. McLean takes advantage of that, makes their way through, and they're already coming up to their scoring pass as Rusty Bullet has been recycled just a couple of times, taken down mid-track.
Oh. Beautiful run on the inside line for McLean.
Such toe-stop control, very well. We are back up to a full complement of blockers. Both jammers available to score now.
You know, we're seeing beautiful sweeps from Swansea, but that last hit there from the Checkerbroads blocker, number 13, Minx.
Devastating.
Putting Slayer's jammer absolutely on their bottom, forcing that jam to be called off. 8 points picked up by the Slayers, 1 though for the Checkerbroads.
Yeah, Rusty Bullock just managing to get in at the very end of that jam.
Points are points.
I'm not going to say no to points.
Okay, let's check out who is on the jammer line now. Well, it's 58 Feral Fairy starting this jam with the star. And Mort, number 7 for the Slayers. Who is your lead? Who is not your lead jammer? No pass, no penalty assessed to them.
So Feral Fairy being taken off just on the inside of turn 1 as Mort races through, picks up that natural grand slam. Feral Fairy no doubt looking for that offense from their team so they can complete that initial... Yeah, before I even finished the sentence, the offense came, the initial pass was completed, lead jam was issued, and the jam was shut down.
It's almost like they knew what you were going to say.
And they definitely didn't, because we're stood quite a way away from the track, up here in our crow's nest balcony.
I have to put out some props to Bexon from the Slayers, number 11, in that last jam, just being a real move maker, creating space, and more importantly, just eyeballing the Checkerbroads jammer throughout, and really making it difficult work for them. Number 23, Decoy, comes up against Coupe de Gras. Coupe de Gras picks up a cut track penalty.
Decoy recovering after a big smash up coming along the front straightaway. Manages to recover, picks up lead jammer, and is now going to try and make the most of this power jam situation. Slayers have been stretching out that little lead, 62-17 currently. The Decoy with the fake out across the apex of the track, completing that 5-point pass.
An absolutely beautiful work by them. Decoy coming in now in between turn 3, hits the 2 wall though, that's beautifully set up by the Slayers. Snail being the main component of that. They're took out though by Minx once again, and it means that Decoy is able to pick up those further 5 points, taking this to a 10-point jam for the Checkerbroads Snoogans.
Indeed, Coup de Gras back on track, completed the initial pass, and Decoy, seeing that Coup de Gras was nearly at the back of the pack, calls off the jam. 14 points in total there. Checkerbroads now up to half the score of the Slayers, 31-62. 14 minutes and 7 seconds left of this first half.
Yeah, very pleasing maths for my eyes there indeed. Team timeout has been called by the Slayers. I'm just wondering if they're feeling that everything's just gone a little bit crazy. So the Checkerbroads are able to get that 14-point jam. Okay, it was a power jam. But even still, it felt like the Slayers were not able to form any kind of effective strategy on track. They were doing it at quite a pace as the Checkerbroads were able to run the pace of the pack, and they were definitely the more dominant team there. And Slayers, I think if they want to keep this differential and keep pulling away, need to think about the best way for them to neutralise power jams, but also just to shut down this MRD craziness, where they're able to disrupt everything the Slayers are trying to do out there.
Absolutely, as you said, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
As you say, it was a power jam. We're not going to turn our nose up at points from any direction.
No.
But I would place a fair deal of money on Slayers calling that timeout when they did, to try and put a stop to that momentum that Checkerbroads were building in that jam. You've got to believe they were pumped at the end of that, eager to get into it. Slayers denied.
Gotta shut that down. Okay, number 48 now for 481, Roxy Toxin for the Checkerbroads, coming up against Bexon. Number 11 for the Slayers, and it is Bexon who is lead.
Roxy Toxin being taken to the outside, to the inside. We've got some hokey-cokey action going on from those blockers, but some nice controlled footwork coming into turn 2 from Roxy Toxin. And those blockers have stopped in that 3-wall up the front, that kind of triangle formation. And Roxy managing to get up on the toe stops, work the footwork, get around the hips, and complete the initial.
but is not lead jammer, more importantly. That's still up for grabs for the Slayers. Oh, Bexham.
It was so quick at the start of the jam. It was just...
I blinked and, then I missed
exactly
it.
Exactly that.
It happens. So 4 points there picked up by the Slayers. Checkerboards denied any. And I have to say, that pack at some point between turn 1 and 2 was so stretched out in the definition of what is a pack, with two very clear tribes going on, with the Checkerboards up front just trying to keep the Slayers jammer at bay, and at the back we had Feral Fairy just marking everybody there as well. So here we go now into the next jam. Rusty Bullet comes up against Mort, and Mort is your lead jammer for the Slayers.
Rusty Bullet nearly through along that inside apex, but did just trail the foot after taking a hit on the inside. So Mort through, 5-point Grand Slam pass.
A fantastic footwork by Mort to get on through. A jam is called due to injury here, I believe. But 5 points picked up by the Slayers. Checkerboard's holding at 31, and we're just going to take a moment to have the jammer checked over by the medics here today. And a big thanks to all of those, and obviously all the officials, both skating and non-skating, and volunteers who've made this weekend happen. It's been an absolute magnificent weekend. Not early.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be honest, it was I was on the first call of the day over on track 1. That early start, that 8 a.m. first call, was made that little bit easier by the fact that both the Bath and the Norfolk fans were ready and raring to go somehow.
Yeah.
They'd obviously had their ready break.
I'm assuming they just didn't go to bed last night and they are just still on a night out vibe. Because they were incredibly noisy, as you said. And the second game of this morning, which was absolutely fantastic, over here on track 2. Again, great crowds, and we're just seeing, going into the end of the half-time, we have got, of course, Dorset Knobs playing Men Behaving Derby over on track 1. An incredibly close game happening over there, 1-1-14 to 1-2-5 in favour of Dorset right now. So do make sure you go back and check that out in the archives if you're not able to switch a move between the two tracks. And why would you? This is a fabulous game happening over here.
No doubt. That's, I think, if I'm going to say there is a downside anywhere for events like this, it's that you can't watch everything at once. That's the only thing, because there's so much good derby.
Absolutely. So Slayers, of course, took on Rainy City Tender Hooligans yesterday, and the Checkerboards took on London Rocket Rollers.
They did.
So both these teams coming out of hard games yesterday. Make no mistake about it. And it's great to see how they can still, in the second day, because we don't get to play a lot of tournaments in the UK where we have multi-games, multi-days. So it's great to see this kind of working out this weekend.
Yeah, I should imagine there's a great deal of pacing, probably a lot of looking into, not necessarily like nutrition, but making sure that you're pacing yourself in terms of making sure you're eating early enough to a game, hydration, lots of factors that you may not consider on a regular game day, or you won't give as much headspace to.
Yeah.
But yeah, multiple days, multiple games. It's going to take a little bit of planning.
Yeah, and also mentally, that feeling for skaters to be able to, play these tough games one day after the next and ride that adrenaline wave, and then come back to it the next day and do it all again. It's a lot, So even as announcers, we get that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're back to it. 37 victory with the staff for Slayers. Comes up against Decoy for the Checkerboards.
Decoy managing to turn the footwork and pick up that lead jammer status as Victory is caught up around that Checkerboard 3-wall.
Beautiful work by Victory there, though. Didn't feel like it was a clean pass. And I tell you who didn't have a clean pass, that would be Decoy. Off with a contract penalty. This is now a power jam Slugans in favour of the Slayers.
And Victory managing to get around that final blocker for that initial pass, being indicated by their bench as they pass it. It is a power jam, just in case they weren't aware.
victory now. Comes in slow, tackles Feral Fairy, scores it to the inside. Moves on now in between turn 1 and 2. Micro pack for the Slayers as Top Gun also goes to the box.
Yeah, we've got revolving door blockers in the penalty box for the Slayers. Decoy back on track with an accidental help.
But fantastic work for victory there, able to take the momentum from the hit from Decoy and use it to actually propel them through that back series.
It's like a reverse slipstream.
Yeah.
However, Decoy has managed to make their way through the pack. Both jammers are scoring. We've got about 26 seconds left on the clock for this jam.
Well, Decoy winning the gauntlet of blockers once again, but finds that space on the inside line pretty much unopposed. So further 4 points on the scoreboard for the Checkerboards. Decoy seeing daylight there, nippy headroom, trying to nip that one in the bud, not able to there as victory makes it through. Further points on the board as jam comes to an end. Sugans, what a great jam that was. 12 points for the Checkerboards, so absolutely fantastic for them. 9 points for the Slayers, takes their score to 80. Checkerboards sitting at 43. Going into this next jam, we do have 2 MRD Checkerboards blockers sat in that penalty box. So a bit of a reversal of fortunes. The last jam we saw the Slayers with 2 sitting in there.
Yeah, with 10 minutes and 10 seconds left on the period clock. We moved into a team timeout actually. It's called by the Checkerboards. You've got to wonder, are they doing the same as what Slayers did previously? Are they calling that timeout to slow down the flow that the Slayers were building up in that previous jam? We've got to wonder. 43 to 80. As we previously said, myself and Beatrix, as we said, not an insurmountable lead. We've definitely seen comebacks from smaller amounts, from bigger amounts, from a similar sort of position. It's exciting stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, let's just check in with some of those penalties whilst we're here, because I do feel like there are quite a few. Indeed, Swansea in a little bit of a danger zone. Mayasuti on 4 penalties right now. Really nobody else in trouble, except for Snail, 5-0, 5-0 on 3. Now I tell you why I feel that's a bit of a danger for them. Both those blockers, excellent at making change happen in the packs. And we are still 10 minutes left of this first period, Snoogans. You know, we've got all that time still to go. And as you said just then, this is not an insurmountable lead. Right now, McLean for the Slayers is going to try and make that differential a little bit bigger as they pick up lead for the Slayers. Roxy Toxin still in the pack in turn 1.
Blocker headed to the penalty box for the Slayers. Just a 2-ball on track. They get effectively broken up by the 3 Checkerboards blockers on track to make space for Oxytocin to get through. Tiny little takeoff there by Feral Fairy.
Yeah. Well timed.
McLean told to run it by the bench. That does mean 4 points on the board for Oxytocin.
I guess they're just trying to get that penalty box free of Swansea blockers. You know, this team is fantastic when they've got everybody out on track, but right now they're having that penalty spiral that's really not helping their jammers support systems at all. Checkerboards already with 9 points on that board. Jam comes to an end there.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it, where you're gonna. I absolutely understand them wanting to run the clock to get the blockers out of the box, but they've ended that jam, albeit by a point, but they've ended it on a deficit.
Yeah. So 8 points picked up there by the Slayers, 9 by the Checkerboards. That takes us to the MRD Checkerboards at 52, Swansea Slayers 88. We've got 8.5 minutes left of this first half. Checking in, we have Mort with the start, comes up against Turbo Type for the Checkerboards.
It looks like they didn't actually manage to clear that box. We have started with only 2 Checkerboards Okay, we've got 2 blockers for each team on track now. Mort is out, but it's a no pass, no penalty. Which means Turbo Type is lead.
But more able to just propel themselves through the pack there to grab those points before that jam was called. So 4 points picked up by the Slayers, and we're now seeing 2 blockers in the penalty box on the checkerboards, two blockers in the penalty box for the Slayers, albeit 1 standing. And I'm just wondering if at some point here the Slayers are going to use that team timeout just to be like, hey, you know what? Let's just stop with this crazy penalty spiral because it's making everything hard.
Just dial it back.
Yeah.
Everybody calm down. Take a moment.
Coupe de Gras not calming down at all as they pick up lead. Decoy with the start for the checkerboards.
Yep, Decoy has completed that initial pass, laying on the crossovers, trying to close that gap. Decoy closing in. Coop managing to pick up 2 before calling the jam there.
Great awareness by Coop. 3 points in actual total. So just being able to see where the checkerboards jammer was and calling it just the right point denies them the opportunity once again of scoring 52 to 95. And we're actually seeing the checkerboards requesting an official review.
And it looks like they're using that as a timeout.
Well, why not? 6.5 minutes left of this first half. You might
Treat yourself.
Yeah, go crazy. YOLO, everybody. Oh gosh. I don't think anybody sounded quite as British as I did right then.
YOLO, everybody. So we are stopped over on track 2 at present, but we've got 22 minutes and 43 seconds left on track 1. Scores are sitting: Men Behaving Derby 127, Dorset Knobs 137. So still an incredibly close game across there. I announced games for both of those teams yesterday. Men Behaving Derby playing against Oxford Dental Roller Derby, and Dorset Knobs against Teesside Skate Invaders.
Ah yes, I was on the live stream for that one.
Brilliant game.
Absolutely
Brilliant
fantastic.
Game. And while Men Behaving Derby, they took a rather hard-fought loss, for want of a better phrase. They gave so much on track.
They are playing with a light roster here this
They
weekend
are.
as well, aren't they? So that does, present its own challenges.
Yes. I believe they were skating with 9 yesterday, and there was a foul out in the first half and a couple of injuries as well. But they kept going.
Way to give yourself a challenge. Well, we're back to the action here. It's Bexon versus Rusty Bullet with the Stars.
Rusty Bullet was your foremost jammer, but they were taken off on the outside line. Bexon still stuck right in the centre of a 3-wall. Rusty Bullet picks up lead jammer. Bexon managing to use their blockers almost to kind of shield themselves from the rest of the pack to complete that initial pass. Rusty Bullet styling it out in a fashion there. 4 points, hit it and quit it.
I think Rusty Bullet almost felt like they cut the track then, and so part of that drop to the knee was, you know what, I think I'm going to be in trouble. Rather than see whether I get away with it, not quite the right words, but we all know what I mean. They did just drop to the knee and call off that jam. So actually, great work by them on doing that, and just preserving the sacredness that is lead jammer and jammers overall. Back to it though, Mort with the start, comes up against Roxy Toxie. Mort picks up lead, easily finding space through the front of that pack. Roxy Toxin removing the start, but comes around the outside, met by Swansea players though. Victory with a pivot star, interestingly enough here. Not able to escort Roxy Toxin off quite enough. And Mort comes in on that scoring pass, just absorbing the hit from Farrell Fairy to pick up those 4 points and come off the jam snoogans.
I tell you what, that's something that always amazes me. It doesn't matter who does it, but when you see a skater, jammer or blocker, that receives a massive hit and just kind of remains unchanged.
Yeah.
That's
like,
how do you train for that?
I don't know.
Like, how do you prepare yourself to accept that hit? It's almost kind of let the hate flow through you. Somewhere, Emperor Palpatine is very happy with it.
I'm sure. 4.5 minutes left of this first half. 99 to the Slayers, 56 to the Checkerboards, and it's Mr. Bullet versus McLean. McLean is your lead jammer for the Slayers.
Rusty Bullet taking a couple of shoulder checks, getting sandwiched between some blockers, trying to take them to the outside, not quite able to help them off track.
Help them. Did you mean help them?
Hey friend, take a step.
Oh, beautifully timed hit there from number 4 by Suturi. Just knocking Rusty Bullet off that track.
However, Checkerboard's managing to pick up a point at the end of that. Nothing to the Slayers. Skillful play by the Checkerboards in that last jam. And we're going to get straight back into it. Decoy and Coup de Grace donning the stars for their teams respectively. Decoy, your foremost jammer. Coup de Grace taking a big shoulder from Selena Vile. Vile up front, not quite able to stop them. Coup is your lead jammer. We do have a star pass now. Feral Fairy, your active jammer for MRD Checkerboards. Forearms penalty being issued to lock up for the Slayers. They've now got 2 in the penalty box. And Coup de Grace with 4 points pulls off the jam. Feral Fairy with a nice transition, but not able to land the movement before the final whistle.
And Slayers reaching over that 100 mark now, Stugins, as you say, 103 to 57, 2.5 minutes just over left of this first half. Fantastic jam there with great work from both teams. Not lining up now on the jammer line for the Slayers. It is number 7, Mort, and that is 481, Roxy Toxin for the Checkerboards. Oh,
Mort. Hurricane Mort. Zipping through the pack, laying waste to everyone basically.
Hopes and dreams. Comes in once again on this scoring pass, but finds a braced free wall in the centre of that pack.
Flood defences have been secured.
Ball off there.
Yeah, actually, like we jest, but Checkerboards really pulled that together.
Yeah.
Only giving up 1 point in that pass.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And as you say, doing that, Mort comes around the track with such speed that to be able to reform in that time frame into effective defence is a real skill. And the Checkerboards are clearly mastered. So we have victory with the star now for Swansea, and for the Checkerboards, that looks like Turbo Type, who is your big jammer.
Yeah, it looked like victory was through, managed to escape the pack, but some beautiful sort of forwards waterfalling from the MRD blockers meant that victory was like, I am through, wait no, the same people are in my face that I've just passed.
I hate when that happens.
It's got to be soul destroying as a jammer.
No, but great defensive work here by the Slayers. Refs disagree as they send people off for penalties, but holding up tight for a good 4 seconds there. It does mean that victory left to her own devices, basically.
Yeah, we currently have 1 Slayer blocker on track, obviously another being returned to track ahead of space in the penalty box. But this is big pack advantage now for Checkerboards.
Yeah, a monster jam in the making, I'm pretty sure, for this final jam of this half. Turbo Tyke is escorted outside though by Suturi once again, being that change maker out on track for the Slayers. Picks up a penalty though.
Yep.
That was the skate and waiting penalty, right?
But we've got 35 seconds left of this jam, and victory's not yet completed the initial pass.
Well, the cut track penalty means that the Checkerboards are slightly low on numbers. and gave Victory the opportunity to get through and complete that initial.
Yeah, and absolutely sort of real flip of the coin in this jam.
So perfect storm there in that final jam, Snoogians. Lots of penalties on either side, but the checkerboard's really able to take advantage of it completely. And for the first time, we see the Swansea Slayers jammers actually having some real difficulty getting out of the pack, even completing their initial, as you say. Well, that takes us to the half-time. MRD checkerboards at 75, Swansea Slayers 104.
Yeah, that last jam really brought things together. 18 points on the board for the checkerboards just now. So everyone's going to take a break, reset, and we're going to see how this is going to play out in the second half. Okay, folks, so we are back. We are seconds away from getting this second half started. If you will recall, we ended the first half 75 points to Manchester Roller Derby's Checkerboards, 104 to Swansea City Roller Derby Slayers. And getting us started in this second half, we've got number 7, Mort, jamming for Swansea, and that's number 23, Decoy, jamming for the Checkerboards. We do have a pack advantage to the Slayers, which has paid dividends to Checkerboard's blockers in the box. Mort straight round as your lead jammer, less than 15 seconds. We have had a star pass. Captain Feral Fairy now with the star in hand, on head. Mort looking to speed up the pack, telling their pack to get to the front. Although the two Checkerboard's blockers are doing their best to kind of try and control the pack. And yep, Mort picking up their points, calling the jam. No points for Feral Fairy. Had a quick look at the penalties at the half-time. Nothing too serious for the Slayers. We do have Bayasuti on 5, Snail is on 4, as we mentioned before. That could be a bit of an issue. Snail has been doing some incredible pack control. Only major thing on the Checkerboards, we've got Captain Feral Fairy is sat on 4 points. But we're going to move into a new jam. Rusty Bullet is jamming for MRD. Coup de grace for Slayers. Rusty Bullet, your foremost jammer, taking a couple of big hits though. Does manage to make it round on the outside. No pass, no penalty means Coup has been issued a lead jammer. Packs a little bit jumbled. Both teams have just had blockers released from the penalty box, so we're moving up to a full complement of blockers. I get the distinct feeling that, I was going to say, I don't believe Coup de grace knows that they are lead, but I've seen the arms go in the air and the call has happened. Coup de grace managing to pick up 2 points, 1 on the board for Checkerboards. Fresh jam does of course mean fresh jammers. 481 Roxy Toxin in the white, 2544 McLean in the black. Roxy Toxin doing the splits there as they're taken off and recycled to prevent themselves from incurring a cutting penalty. Victory heading to the penalty box for Slayers, followed by McLean. So we are now in power jam territory. If Roxy Toxin can get out and pick up lead to try and capitalise on this situation and try and close that deficit. Cheeky little check off there by number 90 Top Gun. Roxy recovers, does pick up that lead jammer, but Slayers have managed to kill most of that power jam. McLean already standing in the penalty box. Roxy Toxin with an easy pass on the outside. Plenty of space to get around the hips of Top Gun for that 5-point Grand Slam pass. McLean back on track now, getting straight into the thick of things with a little skip and a jump over the apex and around the hips of the blockers, completing that initial pass. Roxy Toxin being counted down by their bench. Just taken off on the inside, does manage to put another 2 points on the board before calling it off. 27-point differential now, 83 points Checkerbroads, 110 to the Slayers. This is the smallest differential we've seen in, well, obviously this half, but in quite a while in this game. It was a lot closer at the start. Slayers managed to spread it out. We got up to about 50-60 points. As Beatrix and myself mentioned during the first half, it was not an insurmountable difference. If Checkerbroads pulled their stuff together at the half, had their orange segments, it is possible for them to still come back for this. Right now, however, we've got Mort as your lead jammer for Swansea, and Turbo Tyke taking some big hits. Top Gun once again laying the devastating work. Followed up by another big hit from Jekyll, although Jekyll now being issued with, I believe that was an elbows. Turbo Tyke maintaining footing along the inside line. Mort again sort of indicating to their team to try and pull things forward. I believe they're trying to run that clock because they do have two blockers in the box. We've seen Swansea do this a couple of times before, trying to keep the clock running to empty that box with mixed results. 9 points on the board there for Swansea. 24 and about a half minutes remaining. Three blockers plays two in favour of Checkerbroads. Doesn't make a blind bit of difference though. We have got lead jammer being issued to Bexon from Swansea. Decoy nearly through on that inside line, just taken off by Snail. Snail picking up their fifth penalty with a failure to return, although I stand corrected, being... Nope. For a moment I thought the penalty was rescinded. It wasn't. They were being called back on track because there wasn't space in the penalty box. So that's 5 penalties now for Snail. Bexon in control of that jam, calls it and does manage to shut it down before Decoy picked up any points. Just to give you a quick recap of everything that's happening over on track one, the game between Men Behaving Derby and the Dorset Knobs has finished. It was incredibly close. I spent most of half-time watching it as it went into the end. The final scores 170 to Men Behaving Derby, but Dorset Knobs clinched the win with 209. Meanwhile, back here on track two, Rusty Bullet out of the pack like a bullet from a not-so-rusty gun. Picks up lead jammer, however, Mort laying on the speed and chasing them down. Massively depleted pack. Rusty Bullet heading into the pack backwards, trying to maximise the points picked up with hips, however, doesn't pick anything up. We do have their bench coach for Manchester Royal Derby heading into the middle. Looks like it was just a little bit of a conversation as opposed to an official review. They have headed back to the bench, and we're going to get straight into the next jam. Roxy Toxin, with only one blocker to contend with, picks up lead jammer. And McLean managing to evade those 3-4 Checkerbroads blockers on track. Roxy Toxin dropping the shoulder around the outside. 4 points, hit it and quit it. Looks like a couple of people were a little bit eager, didn't hear that jam end. Team timeout being called by Swansea. That was a smart call off at the end of that jam there by Roxy Toxin, not only to the picking up the 4 points and calling off before Swansea managed to pick up anything, but they've also successfully frozen 2 Swansea blockers into the penalty box, so they're going to start the next jam with the pack advantage as well of 4 blockers to 2. It should 4 blockers to 3. Sorry, I've just spotted a Checkerbroad blocker in the penalty box. Should make things just that little bit easier to complete that initial pass. At least that's the hope. And we can but hope. We've got 21 minutes and 44 seconds left of this game. I can see over on track 1 that we've got teams warming up. We will see Granite City taking on Bath Roller Derby. So we're taking a look at sort of some points scored and some leads. And of course, when I've got information to say, we're about to get back on with the jam. I'll share some stats with you in a moment, folks. But this next jam will get us started with Turbo Tyke and number 11, Bexon. Bexon looking for the inside line. Turbo Tyke saying, no, I would prefer that. And Bexon saying, I don't care, it's mine. Lead jammer issued to Bexon. Turbo Tyke, however, managing to outrun those two blockers up front to complete the initial pass. We are back up to a full pack now. Bexon racing around the outside line, it almost as if nobody saw them there. 4 points, hit and quit. Slayers back up to a 30-point lead now, 87 to 127, just under 21 minutes remaining. .40 lead. Thank you, Billy. I've got my silent partner here, Billy No Skates, is running some stats for me. Billy is surviving the plague, so not so much with the words, but some beautiful stats and some beautiful handwriting as well, actually. As we move into the next jam, Decoy has picked up lead. Mort managing to weave their way around Witchy, and Mort has got sights locked and loaded. Speed of Mort right now, the way that they've closed down the gap in the track. And yes, Mort managing to put 3 points onto the board before the jam was called. Straight into another jam, and we see Rusty Bullet and Coup de Grace. Rusty going for the outside. Big hit from number 4 by Asuti. Bexon sticking to Rusty Bullet like rubber on glue, completing the takeoff and the recycle right nearly all the way back round to turn 2 from turn 3. Coup de Grace being taken off and recycled as well. A plethora of whistles being blown, and one of them means that Rusty Bullet is going to take a seat in the penalty box. So we're now in Power Jam territory for Slayers. Coup de Grace is your lead jammer as well. All of Jammer's favourite things all wrapped up in one jam. Cutting penalty being issued to a blocker over there. Demolition, which means there's now only 2 MRD blockers on track, which Coup makes quick work of for another Grand Slam pass. Rusty Bullet back on track, 30 seconds remaining of the jam. Rusty still looking to complete their initial pass, which is, quite frankly, easier said than done with that wall on display from Swansea. Yep, I did wonder. Rusty Bullet, my apologies, pushed to the inside, didn't realise that they'd cut. They had cut, re-entered, and they'll take a seat back in the box. We talked in the first half about how tournaments can be quite taxing and sort of difficult to plan physically and mentally. both these teams have already played an incredibly difficult game yesterday. This is shaping up to be very similar for both of them. Although the scoreline shows Slayers in the lead, it's definitely not been an easy game for them. Both teams feeling the toll. Mort there managing to make their way around the outside to pick up lead jammer. Pack moving at a fair pace, so even though it was a relatively quick lead issued, they completed nearly a full lap before getting out to the front of the pack. Mort taking hit after hit, but absorbing those hits, as Beatrice mentioned in the first half. Incredible skill. Rusty back on track, completed that initial. Mort toying with the opposition, waiting until the last possible minute to call off the jam. Rusty Bullet was literally within touching distance of those opposing blockers. Yeah, although the scores aren't necessarily representing it, we've got a relatively equal distribution of lead jammer so far in this half. Slayers with 5 lead jammers. Checkerbroads now with 5 as well. Slayers obviously managing to capitalise on the points they're achieving in those jams. A couple of those jams have also been power jams. However, right now Decoy, as I've mentioned, is your lead jammer. We do have 5 points on the board already, and we've just had a star pass to Top Gun. Now got the helmet cover on. Top Gun being held. Strong 3-wall on display from MRD, but Top Gun, well, they managed to work their way around and then kind of paused and got reabsorbed into the pack, and now they've got to try again. Jam getting called off there, and that 13-point jam for the Checkerbroads see them breaking the 100 mark. 4 points on the board for the Slayers in that jam as well. So scores now 100 to the Checkerbroads, 149 to the Slayers as we move into the final quarter of this game. Just under 14.5 minutes remaining. Yeah, the Checkerbroads, while they've had an equal amount of lead jammer status awarded to them, to the Slayers, they've, as we mentioned, they've not managed to achieve the same sort of points, and that's the first double-digit jam they've had this half. So we've moved straight into a power jam. Roxy Toxin, Soul Jammer on track. I do believe Top Gun must have picked something up at the end of the previous jam. Roxy Toxin now just being awarded lead jammer, but that did take pretty much the full 30 seconds. As Top Gun has been released. Big hit being laid to make space, and they are out on their initial pass. However, Roxy Toxin being told to run the jam. Top Gun going in hard and fast to that 3-wall. Roxy Toxin being assessed a forearms penalty. So a change of fortune now in the power jams. Top Gun now your Soul Jammer on track. 48 seconds left of the jam. MRD with 2 blockers in the box. Big hit from Feral Fairy. Takes Top Gun clean off their skates. The Slayers blockers going in hard against that MRD wall. Big contact. Penalty being issued to Captain Feral Fairy. Roxy Toxin back on track. We've got seconds left of the jam. Can they manage to... Yes, they can. They can indeed manage to pass all of the blockers to pick up the full 5 points. And looks like we're going to have an official review. So I believe bench coach Gaz wants to call an official review. It does appear to have been briefly, for the moment at least, waved away by our head ref, McFarlane. Possibly there is due a referee discussion. I know sort of practice generally is, if there is a discussion that may be relating to potential official review, that discussion will occur first. Nope, we're going to go straight into the official review. As I've mentioned, I am a fair distance away from the track. I believe one of our house announcers will head in. And Brom's doing a lovely job of communicating with me, particularly on our penalties. So we're going to take a quick look at those, as he's just sent me some more across. We can give you a quick update. So while I mentioned at the start of the second half we weren't in too much trouble with too many people, we can now see that we've got Feral Fairy has fouled out. They are on 7 penalties. It's possible that that's what this official review is about. We've got number 3, Faust, on 4. 1303 is Witchy. They are on 4 as well. That's a different 3. It's Price that's on 4. I was looking at the wrong team. I do apologise. Nobody else on any more than 2 or 3 for the Checkerbroads. However, we are in some dangerous territory for Swansea. We've got 303 on 6 penalties. That is Jekyll. They've doubled their penalty count already in this half with still 12 minutes to go. And as we were concerned earlier, Bayasuti has notched up another, bringing them to 5. And 5050 Snail has also reached 6 penalties. And we've got number 90, Top Gun, also on 6. Slightly concerning because Top Gun's had a couple of good jams recently. That could be a bit of a thorn in the side if they do end up losing them to that 7th penalty. Okay, so look, it's having a sort of a look at the leads that we've had as well. Looks like when the Checkerbroads are managing to pick up lead against, in particular, Mort, they're failing to pick up any points because Mort is so quick to get out of the pack and force the chase, consequently force the call. It just... Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to repeat that on the mic, but I couldn't agree more. It's a pain in the backside. But that's something that Mort does so incredibly well. Mort knows very well how to give chase and is incredibly effective at forcing that call from the opposing jammer. I can see Brom taking a wander into the middle. I know if he's able to feed back to us the outcome, if it's not entirely clear, he will. .51 spread, 12 minutes 10 left. Thank you, Billy, I did the maths well. Still got just about 11.5 minutes before we'll see Granite City Northern Fights take on Bath Roller Derby Girls Spartans. I think that's going to be a great game. Brom's singing, it doesn't seem entirely helpful to the explanation. But I think visually I can see that Feral Fairy has fouled out. We've switched out Jammer into the penalty box to complete the service of that penalty. So that's not an extra penalty on the board for Selena Vile, number 42. It is just the completion of that penalty for 58. Back into the action, and we see Bexon picking up lead Jammer over Decoy, but Decoy does manage to make their way through for that initial pass, and they are giving chase. Bexon into the pack, picking up 3 points before calling the jam. Threw themselves kind of bodily into the pack and took a bit of a tumble. It's going to happen when you're facing off against a wall that solid. You're either going to break through or go down. It's physics. I always preferred science over maths. Back into it. Mort and Rusty Mort picking up lead. I'm going to interrupt myself. Mort finding the outside line. However, I spoke too soon. Mort has picked up a misconduct penalty. I didn't see what happened. I can just see the arm being drawn across the chest of their jammer ref. So Rusty Bullet is your lead jammer on this power jam for MRD Checkerbroads now, using the edges and the transitional footwork to work around those blockers. Swansea displaying quite a wide wall. Holly going in, breaking up some pleasant offense, I've got to say. However, Rusty Bullet has picked up a cutting penalty just as Mort is released from the penalty box. So not quite a jammer switch out. Mort making quick work of the pack to complete their initial pass. And Checkerbroad's going for a much more zipped up wall. Still Mort finding space along the outside to go round for a full 5 points. Mort again looking for the outside line. Slowed down considerably by Demolition and Holly. Had to change tact and move to the centre. Rusty Bullet back on track, being taken off and recycled as Mort works to the front for another 5 point pass. Jam coming to its natural conclusion. Points put on the board by both teams in that final pass. 10 to Checkerbroads, 14 to the Slayers. Bringing the scores to 119 for Manchester Roller Derby Checkerbroads and 177 for Swansea City Roller Derby Slayers. 58 point differential. Billy No Skates making Snoogs look good since 2017. Roxy Tuxin and Bexon are going to get us started in this next jam. Bexon finding the outside line open, but not making their way through legally, picking up a forearms penalty. So Roxy Tuxin is your sole jammer on track right now. Some lovely lateral movement from Roxy Tuxin. They are not lead jammer, so this jam will run for the full 2 minutes, but this is still a power jam for them. Nearly through on the inside. One blocker up front to contend with. Top Gun being goated at the back. However, Top Gun managing to just bull their way through to rejoin their co-blocker at the front. Bexon back on track now. And now legally completing that initial pass as Roxy Toxin puts another 4 points on the board. relatively spread out pack. Bexon right in the thick of things. MRD blockers dropping off to Bridge. Selena Vile headed to the box for a multiplayer. And that's 4 in the sky for Bexon. Roxy Tox and Myanmar taking some big hits at the back of the pack. Bexon, I'll be honest, I genuinely didn't see them complete that pass to get round for another score. That's going to be another 4 points. And please, may I have another? Yes, you may. 13 points on the board so far. And that'll be all they wrote for that jam. Again, incredibly close score within the jam. 12 points to Checkerboards, 13 to Slayers. But with 6.5 minutes remaining, this is getting, the spread's getting bigger. Yeah, the Checkerboards managing to pull in some higher scoring jams in the last few after a lot of 0-point jams. Slayers picking up a couple of leads, but 1-3-1 to 1-9-1. That's a 60-point differential, 6 minutes, and we've got another lead jammer being issued to Mort for Swansea City. Swansea still experiencing blocker penalties. Decoy picking up a back block penalty for the attempt there to try and get through. So this is a power jam for Mort. Wow, big chest-to-chest contact against that blocker. But that's 10 points scored in this jam so far, and that sees the Slayers breaking the century. Beautiful, destructive work by the Swansea City blockers, going in there and cleaning house to give Mort some space. You can see from the stance, Mort has got to be tired. They've jammed an awful lot this game, and Manchester are a very physical team. We've had a star stash with Decoy coming out of the penalty box. But Mort completes a scoring pass and calls off the jam. Checkerboard's calling a team timeout. And we have had a foul out for Swansea. 5-0, Snail completing or accruing their 7 penalties. So they'll go and take a seat in the crowd. I know we've talked about how Snail was quite an integral part to the team, and we were wondering how that may impact if they did end up fouling out, as they were sat quite high on penalties. But with 4 minutes 42 left on the clock, 215 points to 1-3-1, I'm wondering if it's going to have as much of an impact now. That's a fairly large point spread. 442. It's probable that we know where this game's going. 84-point spread. Thank you, Billy. We've talked about variable scores from jams over the last couple of jams. Massive 24-point jam for the Slayers in that one, and that's obviously just, they've taken it up a notch with the Spice Weasel. Bam! So team timeout done and dusted, and we're going to get back into the action. Rusty Bullet picking up lead jammer over Coup de Gras. We saw Coup jamming quite a lot in the previous half, but we've not. This is only the second time we've seen them with the star in this half. 2 unanswered points for Rusty Bullet there, picking up those and calling it off just in time. McLean and Roxy Toxin are your jammers in this jam. Roxy Toxin coming through like a wrecking ball through the front of the pack, really breaking things down to pick up lead. McLean has completed, looking a tad unsteady. Took a big hit, I think, as they were emerging from the front of the pack. Roxy Toxin using those edges that we love so very much, nearly out along the inner straightaway. Did get just clipped off to the infield, so has reset all the way to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, McLean pushing. Interesting formation on display from Manchester. They've got that 3-wall, the Triangle de Doom, as I like to refer to it. And we've got Tyke just kind of hanging around near the back, looking ready to offer offense to Roxy potentially, or to dive in and provide a little bit more stability for the wall. Roxy Toxin taking advantage of a little bit of confusion in the pack. Gets through for that 4-point pass. However, McLean also taking advantage of it. Pack really loosened up towards the end of the jam there. Picks up 4 points as well. So our other game over on track 1 has begun. As we reach the 25 minutes remaining mark over there, we've got Bath on 8 points and Granite City in the lead on 15. But back here on track 2, we've got Decoy and Mort vying for lead. Both jammers taken down. Mort first out of the pack, but that's that no pass, no penalty from passing a downed skater, so they're not lead. That is still open and available. Swipe left. However, Mort racing around the track. Such speed. I'd love to know what Mort's 27-5 record is. Just awe-inspiring. Mort did manage to pick up that 5-point pass, but Decoy completing their initial to pick up lead and closed it down to prevent any further point scoring. We do have an official review being called. It does look like it's by the Slayers. I feel it may be being used as a timeout. Yes. Yes, official review as a timeout. Some beautiful hand signalling from our jam timer. That minute done and dusted, so we're going to get back into it. 1 minute 32 remaining on the period clock. And our score sitting 136 to the Checkerbroads, 224 to the Slayers. Bexon and Rusty Bullet facing off against that 4-3 pack with the advantage going to the Slayers. And Rusty Bullet coming out victorious, finding some kind of space right in the middle of the pack to pick up lead jammer Bexon, round about half a track behind. Rather spread out pack. Gives space for Rusty Bullet to work, and that is what they love. That is how the Rusty Bullet thrives. And that's going to be a 4-point pass. Bexon saying, I'm quite fond of those 4 points you've just had. I believe I'll take some for myself. Rusty Bullet right in the wave of that hit for another 4 points. It's one of my favourite things about roller derby. You see these athletes getting hit, sometimes quite, let's say sometimes, most of the time quite hard, and just the joy on their faces. I'm just happy to be here. These jammers now matching each other, scoring pass for scoring pass. And Rusty Bullet calling off the jam. Team timeout called with 7 seconds left on the period clock, which means we will get one more jam. Roxy Doxon is very excited about that. Both teams ready and eager. Roxy Toxin will be facing off against Mort. And we will start with a pack advantage to the Slayers. We have one checkerboard blocker in the penalty box. Rolling whistle to end the team timeout, and we are going to go straight into the 5-second call for the jam start of what will be our final jam in this game. Mort briefly there playing a little bit of fifth blocker action, but I'm sure this is the reason that the checkerboards called for that team timeout to get that final jam. Roxy Toxin picking up lead jammer. What a beautiful way for the checkerboards to close out this game. Mort giving beautiful chase, jammer on jammer action. Mort being taken off. Roxy Toxin being just shifted to the infield. Mort to the outfield. Some very, very nice offense there. Roxy Toxin being told to run it. I get the feeling we might get ourselves a full 2-minute jam. Here at playoffs, why not? Mort finally managing to emerge from that pack. Roxy Toxin re-entering the pack after taking a big hit. Re-entering the track, my apologies, after taking a big hit. Ends up face to face, calls the jam right in front of Mort. A hug is exchanged. I'm basically just stating facts to you now, folks. That was a hell of a game. We will, of course, wait for our official final scores. But from starting out as such a close game and really kind of going back and forth, it was ultimately the power jams that the checkerboards gave up that really cemented the win for Swansea. But huge props to the checkerboards for fighting until the absolutely last possible second, even down to picking up that final jam and being awarded the final lead jammer. As I say, we are just waiting for confirmation on our official final scores. Can also give you a quick update while we were waiting for that. Oh no, I'll interrupt myself. Our official final scores: Manchester Roller Derby Checkerboards 152, but your winners with 240. It's Swansea City Roller Derby Slayers. Brilliant display on track from both teams. And I will just give you a quick update over on track 1. We've got Bath sat on 17 points. I believe they currently have lead jammer. But we have Granite City in the lead with 29. And up next, after that game, over here on track 2, we will see the winner of game 5 from yesterday. So that's going to be Oxford Men's Roller Derby taking on the winner. That is for the Tier 3 men's final, and I think that is going to be an absolutely phenomenal game. I have been Snoogans. I was originally joined by Beatrix. I've been joined in the second half with quite phenomenal stats from Billy Nosegates. We do hope that you're going to stick with us for the rest of this weekend because we've still got some absolutely incredible derby to bring your way. We do hope you're enjoying yourselves, folks. Keep with us on social media. Thanks very much.